right, on this concert project, I've worked out what I'm going to do, and I've got a rough parts list of everything I think I'm going to need. Next thing I'm going to do is start pulling things out of the amp itself, and especially on these coupling caps. There are a lot of good 418Ps in here that I'll probably be moving around and reusing as possible. Try to, I'll be using most of the original caps, just sometimes in different locations. And before I order a whole bunch of caps, I want to know what I have that's still good. So that'll be next step. So here's the amp, and I'm going to just start removing all the things I know I'm not going to want. And remove these old electrolytics, including the cathode bypass caps, and remove the orange 418Ps, and take an inventory of what I've got. And I'm going to start here with this stupid bias balance pot. Just a source of misery for all these Fenders. They always burn out because they use a half-watt pot, where each side really needs half-watt. So it should have been a 1-watt pot, and they burn out. This one hasn't yet, but the key word there is yet. So this is going to come out. The wiring will be done here. Remove some of these caps that they have in here just to prevent oscillation, because the lead dress kind of sucks. And later I'll plug this hole in the chassis professionally. But I will report back after I've got stuff out. So here's the before. And next time you see this, all the things that I know that are going to get changed will be out of it. Also, because I'm going to install post-phase inverter master volume for the entire amp, which will affect both channels, here in this ground switch, which will no longer be needed. The bias balance pot will be changed to a bias level pot, because if you have a post-phase inverter master volume that's tied to the bias, then the bias balance gets thrown off, in my experience. And anyway, it won't be missed. So the next thing you'd see would be the amp with all the stuff out. And it turns out I lied. This amp has got an issue that a lot of late 70s and early 80s Fenders have. The hole in the chassis and the hole in the brass plate and the hole in the front panel don't quite match up. So even though the nut is off of this pot, and this is the treble pot for the channel 1, which is going to be staying Fender, that's going to go super reverbish, doesn't want to come out, and it has to come out. So what I do on these is I'll have to get this out, and I'll show you the really elegant solution for that. And then I will get in there with the 3/8 inch essentially high-speed reamer step bit, and reopen that hole in the chassis so everything will fit in the future. So plastic on plastic. And it's much easier to do this when I'm not filming. It's about the only way to get these out. It's just really tight, and it wants to mess up the threads of the pot. There it goes. So each one of these is an additional bit of work. And then I'll take my step bit and open that hole up properly. You can see it's on the, let's see if you can see, it's on the 3/8 inch setting. It won't go in. So sometime in 1982, 83, someone just jammed that in and shoved it out the door. Well, I don't want to damage the new pot threads when it goes in, so I'll be opening that up. Always fun with this. Things will get a good cleaning as well, especially on those input jacks. Yikes. Well, that's a new one. These washers, like made of some kind of oxide, were between the brass panel and the chassis. There's one still stuck on there, and we get it off. And it was keeping the panels from lining up and making it really hard to drill the holes, because the damn kind of carbon washer thing would move. Anyway, I'm going to get all the surfaces involved cleaned up and put this back and get them lined up properly, and then I can make sure that anything that needs to be drilled a little bit larger will work well. So this is taking a little bit longer than I expected. Thanks so much, 1982-83 Fender. Okay, just got about everything out that is coming out. Those pots are also coming out. They're just there right now to hold the brass panel in place. Some stuff here in the bias section is going to get changed. Do that a bit later. Getting new octal sockets had a very fragile pin connection where the metal was just fatigued, and so the old spring tube retainers are being replaced with bear traps, which were much better. And a hang down amp. A lot of stuff off the board. Got some cleaning to do and all that, but I have a good game plan. I know which caps I can reuse. Some have already been moved one place to another. Now I know places I can add things. I'm going to have to do something tricky to get the extra plate resistors on V1A and B, and then V4A and B. That's going to be I might have to do a terminal strip or something in here to get that where I want it. And same for V1. But in general, this will be good stuff. A lot of this wire that's kind of excess and sloppy will be cleaned up once I know the new lengths. I may change out some of this shielded, but for new shielded, the old Fender shielded stuff can develop issues. I swear it just soaks up moisture over the years like a sponge. These things got crazy extra lengths and things cable tied together in weird places. Let me show you the filter caps board. Okay, as you can see, everything is pretty much off this. I'm actually going to change some of how the layout is done for my new plan and try to eliminate some of these redundant wires here. By getting these bias caps out of here, I'm able to simplify this and get a lot less spaghetti on the other side. I can do a bit more than that, but my goal on this is to have the right amount of filtering for the Dumble-esque overdrive stuff while not having too much filtering, because I don't want the cleans to feel hard. You know, you want to soften the Fender stuff a little bit. This is the channel 1, the Fender channel. You know, I want it to feel pretty much like a super reverb, even though the solid state rectification wants to make this like a Bandmaster. You know, for those who haven't played a 60s Bandmaster, it's essentially a 50-watt twin. A little bit immediate, so I'm going to do some things to make that a little bit softer while keeping enough filtering for the overdrive to not have any ghosting, but at the same time to have a lot of harmonic interest. The next thing I need to do is just to go through my parts list versus my inventory and see what I have versus what I need to order so I can get this thing rolling.